Hi everybody, and welcome to the scrapbooking workshop tutorial. We're going to get started right away, but I have two different options for you for the background on the first page. So watch the video before you start so that you know which option you want to choose.
Okay, I want to slow down the video at this point because I want to show you one option for your page, and it's the option that close to my heart is suggested. But I want to do a different option after this, and so look at both options, see which one you want to do, because you're going to need the papers from option 1 if you decide to do option 2, okay, which is where I'm going to use the acrylic and divide up all of the pieces into little squares. And it's a cool look. Looks like you worked really hard, but didn't actually. So, all right. So if you're going to use option 1, and actually this will be for the same, the measuring will be the same for option 2, is go to the 2-inch mark on your white base cardstock and lightly do a pencil mark. You probably can't even see that, but I'll lift it up. And you're just going to do that all the way around, 2 inches in from every side. And what they're going to do is just going to do some diagonal strips. So in either option 1 or option 2, we'll be doing the same thing, diagonal strips. We're just going to have the strips be different in option 2. So this is the close to my heart way. But I think you'll have fun with the other one, and you get to use up a lot of your scraps. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna do this one again because I didn't go dark enough so that I could see the pencil mark. There we go. Okay, pretty good. And now you're gonna take your things. Now on one of a couple of the strips, this strip, you have to cut. There'll be a line there to cut, and you're gonna cut off a smaller part of it, okay? And I believe there's another strip that does that. I think it's this one. Has a line where you cut, and then just you're cutting 2 pieces. So, all right, I'm gonna lay this all down like they have it in there, and this is the best way to go ahead and start is to start with, I think they started with what, 1A, which I believe is this. And they want you put it at a 45-degree angle. So the best way to do that is just try to go for where your lines meet there and kind of do a 45-degree angle. And it looks like they just did it really close to the edge, and try to make each of the sides be equal, right? So you've got that. It says attach 1A, 1B, and 1C. But I don't see the point in going and attaching all 3 when you've got the first one lined up right. So put your adhesive on there. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to show you option 2. And then just kind of work from that. So this piece goes next, and they're about a 1/4 inch apart. So I'm not attaching mine, and I'm just going to make it even between the 2 sides of this one, you know, so there's about the same amount of space there. And then some of these are going to be cut off, but just keep going at that angle all the way down the page, because this center part is what we want to deal with. That's the part that's going to go on your page, and I think you're going to be discarding the rest. So at this point now, it doesn't matter that things are necessarily perfectly even. Just make them about a 1/4 inch apart, and you're just going to keep going down the whole page with the strips in the order that they show, and about a 1/4 inch. And just try to keep it even. You can use a ruler if you want to. I'm eyeballing it for this part, but probably if I was doing this one for good, I would use a ruler, which you'll see me use on option 2. If you want it perfectly straight, but honestly, a lot of it's going to be covered up by your photos and by the other decorations, so don't freak out, but just make sure that your pieces are going over the whole inside square that you drew, because that's the one that we'll be cutting out. And just keep going all the way down. And think here to get to the bottom. Now, you may need to adjust a little bit. I'm seeing that I've got quite a bit of space here, so you can put more space in between these. A little bit bigger than what does it say, 1/4 inch? Yeah, 1/4 inch, you know. So move them down a little bit more until they're about 1/4 inch apart on that inner square. It's really about more like 3/8 of an inch. But keeping them all at that same angle. And you will put your adhesive on them if this is the way you're going to do it. Otherwise, we will do option 2. So this is how you would lay them out and put it down if you're doing option 1. If you want to do, and I know I keep saying this, but I don't want you to glue them down if you want to try option 2. So watch the video first. And I'm going to pull this down a little bit more, and this would be on the end. Then, after they're glued down, then you're going to cut that inner square out right on your lines, and then erase any lines that are left over once you cut it. And hopefully there won't be too many lines, because if you cut it right and cut it on the lines, I believe that you shouldn't even see any pencil marks if you cut it right. And then you'll see here is going to be where it is. And I'm just checking because I want to make sure maybe they are just, oh, I think actually you won't even have to cut it. So you will want to erase the pencil lines, because what they're going to do is have you put this other piece overlay. So you won't even have to cut, but you will want to erase some lines. So this is going to go over it. So you still might see some pencil lines in there, so get those erased. So yeah, so you're gonna trim off that excess and you'll put this overlay on. So that's kind of cool. No cutting required, huh? So let me just look at it again. I wanna make sure we're doing it right. And I think that's all they're doing, yeah. Just add the prepared frame. Okay, so that's easy. So if you want to do option 1, but please watch option 2 first. But here you go with option 1. I'm going to be doing option 2. Just glue all that down, trim these that went off the edge, and then you put your frame over it. All right? Okay, option 2 is to take a piece of acrylic that we sell. It's awesome. One side is very shiny. The other side is dull. The side that's dull has a piece of plastic on it to protect it, and we will take that off in a minute. You want to glue onto the shiny side, all right? Now I took the longest of the strips that we just used, or that we were gonna use on the other part. I took the longest of the strips, and I took scraps from all the scraps that we had left, just regular cutting, and then we had one sheet of this paper, and I cut that up into 1/2 inch strips. So I cut the strips that we had for option 1 into 1/2 inch strips. I cut this whole paper into 1/2 inch strips. I pulled up any leftover zip strips, leftover cardstock, and cut those into 1/2 inch strips. Then on the shiny side, I put, leaving about a 1/16 of an inch apart, I put these strips starting from the left-hand side. I went almost all the way to the bottom, and I have a little bit left extra there that I'm going to trim off. So before I start trimming, I'm going to take that dull side paper off the back, because I don't have to do that individually once I cut these into strips. So I'm going to just use my glue eraser here and find the edge. And there is the edge. I'm going to pull that all off. And now we're going to do some cutting. We're going to do 1/2 inch this time, but you could do any that you want. And the strips don't always have to be 1/2 inch, but that's a nice easy number to cut. And now I'm going to go through now. When you put these down, make sure you are gluing the entire thing. This is not a time to save your glue. I use my runner. That works the best. You don't want to use liquid glue. That's not going to really stick to the very smooth acetate. But the runners will stick to it. And then I'm going to put this whole thing into my trimmer. And you're going to have to be slightly careful, because if it's not stuck down really good, some of these little squares might want to pop up. So you may have to put some of them back. And then you're going to press a little bit harder. And I have an uneven table, so I got to even do it more down there to pull off these strips. Let's see if it cuts. See, yeah, I have a very uneven table, so I have to go a little bit extra. Okay, and then you're going to have these pieces, and this is what we're going to do next. Is we're going to do that same strategy that we did before on the paper, the white card base that we put 2 inches all the way around, and we're going to go across like this. And then you're going to want to make sure that that little edge that I have here that doesn't have one on it goes off, so that it won't be in this middle square, right? And I'm going to go all the way across. It's going to be an even more unique look than just the regular strips. So I'm going to go through and cut all of these, and then I'm going to put them right on like we were talking about, and then we will continue on with this layout. Okay, so I went across just like I showed you in option 1, and I put these about, oh my gosh, but like maybe a 32nd of an inch in between, and then I just trimmed off the edges, and now we're ready to continue. Now if you decided to go with option 1, it's still going to be the same process. You're going to just start putting the frame on, and then we'll decorate from there. Okay, so next up, we're going to do a little bit more prep, and we're going to do the dashes around the inside of the frame on this page. And I am using my ruler because I like it to look straight. So I did about a 1/4 inch from the edge with my black pen, and I did not choose the best black pen because the one I was using takes a little bit to dry. It's kind of a wet pen. And so that made it odd every time I was trying to lay my ruler down, that I couldn't roll, kind of lay it over what I had just finished doing, because I was afraid it was going to smear. So you see me being a little extra careful when doing these dashes. The dashes don't have to be any certain length or whatever. You do what you want, and you don't even have to use a ruler if you don't want to either. So it could all just be hand done right up against the edge there. It's your page. You do it your way. Does not have to be my way. It doesn't have to be close to my art's way. If you don't want those dashes at all, you don't have to have those. Or if you want one continuous line, go ahead and do that. Or, I always love to do some dry embossing too, so that would be another option for that too. But I just decided to go along and do the dashes on there. And I did notice I'm going to make a couple mistakes in here, and you'll see me try to fix them. But when we do a little stenciling later, I made a little tiny mistake, not a big deal at all. And then I put the wrong photos on my layout and had to change that up. So, both Valerie and I, excuse me, Valerie and I do these both, as we go, because it's too expensive to have to do it twice. So we've just kind of learned to go with the flow, and I hope you guys will totally understand. But you're going to see that I'm trying to figure out next where all the other journaling is supposed to go, and I finally figured it out. It's supposed to go on the yellow strips. The yellow journaling strips are supposed to have a dotted line underneath them, or a dashed line. And I kept looking at the instructions, and I couldn't figure it out because you just can barely see it. So in the long run, I decided not to go ahead and draw on those journaling strips. Instead, I'll just write on them when I'm ready to do my journaling, because you can't even see the dash lines underneath. So it's up to you on that. But you can draw some lines on the dovetail part here. And you can see me doing those are continuous lines. I did not use a ruler for these. These are going to look a little more homemade. But
But I did have to kind of hesitate to figure out what was going on with those journaling strips because it just was too hard to see on the page. And so in the end, I just ended up, not doing them at all. And it's totally up to you. Do it any way that you want. Okay. So we need to put a little Distress Oxide on this. It's spiced marmalade, and I have my all-purpose mat underneath, and I put the ink kind of on there, and then just use that to dab instead of directly from the ink pad. And this is a very forgiving color, and type of ink. So one of the things you're supposed to do that I didn't do there was to go ahead and spray a little water on it and then let it dry. That just brings up some cool effects. So on both of these pages, just do a little sprinkling of water. If you don't have a spray bottle, you can do drops too, just get a little bit of water on your fingers and sprinkle on it that way. I totally forgot to do that on this, and I'll try to remember on the other ones, but it does add a very cool effect to it. So because there's so many instructions on this page, this one will be just slightly longer video than we are trying to do these days. But this one had a lot of kind of complicated stuff on it I wanted to make sure you got. Now, after you've done your spice marmalade, you want to go ahead with your toffee ink. And you can mask off with some of your masking tape. You can mask off just the diamonds so that only the diamonds are showing on your stencil. And do this, or you can do what I did, and I used a dauber instead, and that made it a lot easier to get in that little diamond space without touching the other parts of the stencil. So either way is going to work for you. And then I think, we're just going to do it on the frame one too. And when you do the diamonds, slightly offset the second bunch of them. So it's supposed to, I think, sort of look like an Argyle sweater that you might have, in the fall. And so each time move it slightly so that it's going to be not directly, that the diamonds aren't all directly under each other. So you want to do a bunch and then move it slightly to the left or to the right and do the next bunch. And then that's pretty much it on that. And I think we're going to be moving ahead and getting ready to put this frame on the next page. So that you're going to bring up the page you did that had all the strips on it. Whether you did the strips with the option 1 or option 2 like I did, you're now going to put all of this frame right over it. And doesn't that look beautiful? Oh my gosh. And I think I have my my strips going, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I suppose they're all going the same way. But I did use a lot of adhesive on that because those strips of acetate are a little bit thicker than the strips of just regular paper. So I'm using quite a bit of adhesive here to attach to this. And then line it up. I kind of start with the bottom. Make sure you've got your inks in the right place. I kind of started with the bottom and then just matched as I pushed everything down. And look at how pretty is that. Oh my gosh, I love that background. I made a little mistake and started to put the wrong photos on this, but it's the right mats. So just ignore the fact that I'm putting the wrong photos on it, and you'll see in the next one that I have taken them off and replaced them with photo placeholders. So I'm just measuring here to see about where I want to tuck that or put that photo, and I'm going to put the one on the right flat down, but I'm popping up the one on the left. So they're both pretty much centered between the top and the bottom there. And so that one I already pulled the little pieces of plastic off of all of it, so it was ready to go right down. And I didn't put any adhesive right toward the top of this photo so that I could go ahead and do the dovetail pieces and just tuck them in without having to pull off any adhesive. So that made that really easy. All right, let's see what we're going to do next on this. I think we got that big old title. And, oh, nope, yep, the circle. So I didn't want it to cover up too much of that inking, so I cut my circle just a touch, just so that it would pop out there but not pop out too much, because I did want some of that inking to come. But it just depends on where you put your inking, because yours might just sit down there real easy. And then on this title, I wanted to do because I popped up the left-hand picture, I don't need more pop dots on the left-hand side except towards the bottom, because I'm just going to put adhesive instead on the left-hand side, and it will just lay over my photo. Whereas to keep it even and, nice and flat, I'm going to put pop dots on the right-hand side over the flat photo. So we've got the popped up photo on the left, the flat photo on the right. So the title needs the pop dots on the right, and then maybe just a few underneath the big photo too, where it's not laying directly on that photo. And so that's what you see me doing here, just trying to get that all nice and even. Yeah, like that. And a few down there on the bottom, just so that it lays, you don't want it to be, off on any part. So they get that banner that you popped out of the kit. And then this is where I suddenly realized that by looking at the books that I had the wrong pictures in here. So in the next photo, you'll see that has changed. All right, now the photos have disappeared, and it's time to put the book on. And because I don't have a photo on here, I definitely don't want the left-hand side of this bunch of books to be touching my photo. So I'm going to put foam tape on there, but not take off the little carrier sheet pieces, only on the right-hand side. So that way, once I slide my photo in there, I can either take those off and let them lay down right directly on my photo and stick to my photo, or I can just leave them as is. But that just leaves that nice little spacer there. And then we've got this little kind of a, speech bubble. Yep, and that's going to go on the bottom of the books. And I am popping that up just to add even more dimension on there. But you could lay that flat down on that too. So it's not that big of a deal. This is the way you ruin your nails, is pulling off all these little pieces, right? Now we got this really, really beautiful set of embellishments here. And I know it's going to be hard for you to see which ones I'm taking. So just make sure that you look at your instructions and you can see them on there. Or you can also, this is a trick that I do quite a bit, is if I can't see them on the instructions, I find the instructions online and then I magnify my screen so that I can actually see everything up close. And but it wasn't too hard for me to figure out which ones they were using. It was kind of, the colors had a good enough difference, and I could kind of see which ones were the sparkly ones and which ones were the stars and which ones were the hearts. So I just started working with that. And then I suddenly realized that, oops, I forgot to stencil. I should have done this before I put my little thing down, but there were no instructions to do this on this particular layout. On the next page of this layout, there are instructions to do that, I think, but on this there wasn't. Then I added a little bit of, and by the way, I just used the marmalade again to stencil on there. I used that little saying about reading, and then this is the cup that goes on top of the books, and my cup would probably spill because first I put it on a little bit low where it's not actually sitting on the books. Then I finally realized it needs to go higher, but it's kind of tipped, so my cup would probably spill if I had anything in it. So you can make yours more straight up and down if you want to. And then some more of these nice little gems to put on. I had so much trouble with things sticking to my fingers today. Everything was just so sticky. But, yep, just add all of these gems. And let me see. I think that was this might be the last part. I can't remember if I forgot anything else on there. I think that was about it. So once you get these gems on, I should be lifting this page up for you so you can see it up close, or fairly close at least. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we already have our prepared page here, so make sure that you've got your ink, smudged ink in the right places as you put all of this together. First thing we're going to do is cut one of the book sticker borders down to 10 inches, and that's going to start us off here with what we need to do. And you're going to, I believe, let me see, I think it was 1.5 inches up and 1 inch from the side for that. So get your ruler down there and get that stuck, and then everything kind of builds from that, so it makes it a little bit easier. But what a pretty sticker, and I love that they've added that it's just not a fall paper suite, but it also has this whole reading vibe to it, because must be that all those stamps they've been making about reading have been selling well, so they decided to put something in our paper about reading. And especially as we come into the fall, you know, a lot of people are going to read. Just it's a cozy thing to do, right? So you put your big mat down with your photos if you have them, and I popped it up because they said to, and then they've got a little bit of less glue on the lower left side so you can tuck. And then right now I'm going to do the stenciling, and I somehow smudged mine. I don't know how. Thought I was doing it right, but I did smudge mine a little bit. You know what? It's just staying there. Who cares? It doesn't matter because my upper left is messed up from when I went outside of the stencil. So you're going to do that stenciling on the top and the bottom of that. No smudging at the top. I did it. But that's just a nice way to add a little bit of detail. Now we're going to go ahead and put your photo mats down at the bottom, and I kind of measured up, and somehow mine was a little too tall, so I just put it right above that sticker and then a 1/4 inch away from the other photo mat, and that worked just fine. And then we're going to go ahead, and I believe next up is the journaling strips. One goes below the book sticker strip, and then 2 go above the mat on the right hand side. And then we're also going to be doing some cutting here. So we're going to cut this sticker in half right where it says like, and then add in these journaling strips, and then these go around them. Now, it's a little odd that they didn't have us take off the rounded ends on these stickers. I left them because they did, but if you want that to be straight on both sides, just trim that end off so that it's not rounded on one side, because it does look a little bizarre, but I think if I was to do it again, I would cut that sticker off on each end straight instead of having that rounded end. But they had it on there, so we're going with it. And then let me see what we got to do. Oh yeah, put our little dovetailed pieces in. I tried to do mine with the ruler to make sure they were exactly straight across to each other. I would have done better if I just tried to eyeball it, I think. So don't get too picky about that, but I just tried to go about a 1/4 inch above the book sticker for the yellow, and then, or the honey butter one, and then the other one tucked under that, so kind of sort of in the center. And but because when I tried to do it with the ruler, it just looked odd. So I'm sure you'll do it better than I did. Get those on there. Looks very cute. Lots of little techniques on this page, which is awesome. I like that Close to My Heart's always teaching us something new, so that, you know, our pages aren't all the same looking. All right, got that down. And let's see what we got left here. I think it's time to add some stickers, and there's tons. So this one is going to go over the photo, so I'm putting the photo pop dots without taking off the little carrier sheet piece on the left-hand side of that stocking, or socks, whatever you want to call them. And then I'm just doing one over there on the right-hand side, so it's all up to that to hold it. And then there's 2 cute little sayings: snuggle up and be a reader. How cute is this page? Seriously, it's so cute for readers. And my goal this year is 100 books. Love to hear what your goals are. I don't think I'm going to hit it this year, but I was pretty close last year. But this year with the move and everything, things have gotten a little difficult. So I put pop dots to pop these up so they'd be the same level as the socks. And then we're going to work in the upper left corner. So grab that other stack of books there, and I tucked it under because there's like something hanging off the bottom of it. I can't remember what it was. And then I'm trying to lift up the drink tea just a bit. So I put the pop dots above the photo mat so that this wouldn't lean on there. You might want to even do a little of your anti-static pouch on the bottom of the sticker. I didn't, and it's sitting nicely above, but you might want to. And then pop dots on the teapot. And that is just slightly above the photo placeholder there. Did you notice my photo place holders are upside down? Won't matter. Photos are going to go on there. I just got to get some taken. And then put your little teacup there too. And I added just a little pop dot so that would be at the same level as the teapot. And then it's time to add all of our pretty little dots and sparkles. And this is such a cool set. I have a feeling this is what they're going to be doing now, where they give us a specialty set each time that, and then it goes away. So grab them up while you can. You know, if you love a set like this, make sure that you're buying that. I don't know if this only comes with a workshop. I didn't look. Maybe you can buy it separately. I gotta learn and memorize my catalog pretty soon here. But again, you're not going to be able to see which ones I'm using, so look carefully at your page so that you can use the ones that they're using, or use whatever you want because it's your page, right? And I think I probably got a few wrong on there because I started to run out of the size I think they were using. So I just used the next size up or the next size down, whatever it was. And there we go. We're going to bring the other page up so you can see them together. And how pretty are those?